Hello there. Welcome to the How to Market Your Horse Business podcast. I'm so glad you're joining me here today. As you've likely guessed by now, my name is Denise Alvarez. I have the honor and pleasure of hosting you here on the podcast. And before we dive into all the website things, I will quickly introduce myself just in case we're new friends, and then we will get started. All right? So as I said, my name is Denise, and through my business, Storm Lily Marketing, I get to help dream-chasing horse business owners like yourself to see clearly through the marketing overwhelm that I know is there for many of you, and help you to create a cohesive plan for your social media, your website, and your email marketing that will turn your online audience into your customers. I get to do that through Take the Reins, my one-on-one coaching program, as well as website design and website copywriting, and then, of course, here on the podcast. My heart really is to help you as an equestrian business owner be out doing more of what you love to do and using marketing to help you to do that. So here on the podcast, you will get a mix of step-by-step strategies, essential how-tos, and entrepreneurial mindset shifts to help you not only see what's possible for your horse business, but I'm also here to guide you through the process so you can make it happen. Now, in the past, here on the podcast, and if we're friends on social, you have seen and heard me talk about if you even need a website. So that is not what today's episode is about. We've talked about that before. I absolutely believe you should not rely 100% on social media like so many people are. And I've really done some deep dives into my reasons for that. So we're not doing that today, but if that's a question you have, if you're saying, Denise, I just found you, but I'm really not sure about websites right now. It seems like everybody's just on social media. I want you to listen to my previous episodes on that. So I will provide a link to those in the show notes of this episode so that you can go back and listen. So if you go to stormlily.com/132, because this is episode 132, if you go there, I will link to those previous episodes for you. So today, I want to assume instead that you're on board with websites, that you may even have a website, it's old, it's out of date, or maybe you've had it refreshed, but you can't figure out why it's not working for you. I want you to listen to this episode because your website should absolutely be helping you to build your business. It should be qualifying leads and getting the right people in the door. But if it's not, we're going to talk today about 5 specific things that you can do to make sure that your website is actually pulling its weight to help you get the right people in the door and help you to build your equestrian business, okay? So grab your notepads if you're a note taker, or of course, head to the show notes. I've got the highlights of today's episode on there for you as well, but let's go ahead and dive in. Now, first, let's talk about what you may be experiencing right now that may have led you to join me here. When we think about your website, perhaps you have some traffic, but you're not actually getting leads from that. People are not actually getting in touch to start working with you, filling out your contact form, clicking on that Get Started Now button, right? They're not actually doing that. Or perhaps you're here because your website is self-admittedly a bit old and outdated, and you're not really sure if you should invest in it. And so you're just curious, what would it actually look like if your website was doing the heavy lifting and really helping you to build your business? Because what I know is that you want those leads. You want to book clients. We have talked before about the different ways you can do that. And there are myriad, right? There are myriad of marketing methods and mediums. But you know what is often happening, no matter if you are doing advertising online or in print, or you're doing social media, or you're doing in-person networking, people are asking, do you have a website? Where can I get more information about you? And that is why it's so important that you take the time to actually evaluate if your website is working for you, and then see what changes you can make so that it really does help you to build your business. Now, I'm going to give you a few real life examples as we talk about the things that I'm sharing about. But specifically starting out, I want to share with you about my client, Lindsay of Hayes Kofeld Performance Horses. And one of the things that she says to me regularly, and it has been a few years since we've done her website and really just did the overhaul together. And one of the things that she says is that she looks at her website as an employee in her business. It is actually doing the work now. Because of the way it is now, it's doing the work of another employee. And it's doing that 24/7. So she doesn't have to be sending people to her website all the time. But when they're going there, it's always there to do the work, right? It's always there to filter the leads and to get people in the door to working with them. Now, you may be in a different area of the equestrian world, but for Lindsay, what they are doing is breeding, raising, and training. She and her husband, reining horses in Canada, actually. They also coach amateur reiners, and she and her husband also show as well. And believe it or not, before we worked on their website, she was getting inquiries from people all the time asking, do you provide show riding? Can we just come ride? Do you board horses? Asking all kinds of random questions of random horse businesses because it wasn't clear on their website who they were for and what they were doing. And what happened and what may be happening with you is that her time was being wasted answering these questions that were coming in that could have been answered with a simple click to the website. And now she does not get those questions. She was telling me the other day she can't even remember the last time one of those questions came in because it is so clear when you land on their website who they're for and what they're doing. And then what's super fun is on top of that, they have wait lists for their programs and people are filling out the online forms to say, put me on your list because they've done such a great job building up demand and they've done such a great job getting people to their website and then taking them where they need to go. And if they're a right fit, then they get on the list. But if they're not a right fit, then they move on. And that is what I want for you and your website. Your website is not just a place to put some pictures, list your services, and give a contact form, hoping that the right people will get in touch. Your website should be instead filtering your leads, and they should be qualified leads. That is our goal. It should be providing information that keeps people from wasting your time contacting you with unnecessary questions. They should get those answered on your website. And it should make the steps to working with you very, very clear so that they know if they're a right fit, what the next step is and what they should be doing. Okay. So that's why on your website, I know that you're here because you want leads to come in. You want to be on the phone with the right people or have the right people show up in your inbox. You don't want those people who are just tire kickers wasting your time. And instead, you want the ones that are a right fit for you, that excite you, and that you love to work with. And so that's why, my friends, the key to having a website that is doing the heavy lifting is to getting a filter for those right people. When you get them to your website, when you get that traffic that we all want, what happens then? And so I want today for you to consider your mindset first around your website up until today. What has been your mindset around your website? Have you just been looking at it as a necessity, but then not really thinking about it further? Just looking at it as basically an informational spot. And can you instead today decide that you're going to look at your website as an employee in your business and not just take the time and energy and resources to invest in it, which I do want you to do, but also to learn for yourself, because you're an entrepreneur, you need to have this information in your mind as well. What do you need to know when you look at your website? What things do you need to evaluate to see if it's really doing the heavy lifting or not? What changes can you make? And so that's what we're going to dive into. So grab your notepads if you're a notepad person or a notes person, because I want you to be able to leave this session together ready to take action. That is always my goal for you. Okay. So I want to share with you 5 ways that you can get your website to do the heavy lifting to help you build your equestrian business. Okay. Now, number 1, the first thing we're going to look at is your copy, which means all of the words on your website. Because people are coming to your website thinking about themselves, frankly. They want to know, what are you going to do to help them? And so often what happens when we sit down to write the words for our website, and I know that many of you have gone the DIY route on your website, or you have maybe paid somebody to just do the design and you sent them the words that need to go on there. And so what happens is we sit down to write those words and we start thinking about ourselves. We write it in terms of saying I, me, and my. I have done this. I have done this. My horses, this. My program, this. Me, my. And I want you instead to look at your website and see if you are talking to your potential customers. Are you talking to them about the problems they are experiencing as it relates to your services and how you and your products and your services are going to help solve those problems? I want you to also look and see if the copy on your website sounds conversational. Does it sound like you are sitting across the coffee table or wherever it may be, talking to that person individually and having a conversation? Because what I want you to remember with your website is that it is not created just to promote you. Your website exists to connect you with your potential customer and then to guide that ideal person that is the right fit to becoming your customer. It has a purpose and it is not just to be an informational page. Okay. So when you look at your copy, that is how you're going to build that connection with your potential customers. All right. So number one, you're going to look at your copy. Number two, I want you to look at the images or videos that are on your website right now. Because the second way that you can get your website to be doing the heavy lifting for you is to accurately represent your specialty, your level of experience, and your expertise with your images and your video. They play a key role in communicating because you definitely will have some people who come to your website and read every word. And then you'll have some people that come to your website and they're scanning. And you have some people that come to your website and skip all the words and look at the pictures. And we want to communicate the same message in all of those elements. And so I know that you've heard the quote, a picture is worth 1,000 words. So I want you to use pictures on your website that show what you're going to do for your website visitors. I want them to see the pictures and say, yes, that's what I want. That's the person for me. And it doesn't matter if you're a trainer. It doesn't matter if you're an instructor. It doesn't matter if you are providing services such as bodywork. You can use images and videos to show the transformation no matter what area of the equine industry it is that you are in. Now, one more note on this. The quality of your pictures matters. So I want to encourage you to consider investing in a professional photographer. Now, of course, there are lots of places you're going to use these images. So it is a worthy investment because it's not just for your website. You can use them on your social. You can use them in so many different places and ways. And I would highly encourage you to consider doing that. It will really up-level the quality of what your website looks like, which is also going to up-level the experience that people know they can expect when they work with you. Now, of course, if you're saying, Denise, I'm just not ready for a branding shoot yet, but you want to use quality images, I want to tell you my favorite place to go right now is ShellyPaulsonstock.com. Many of you know of Shelly Paulson. She has become a friend, a client. She does amazing work, and I love to just send people her way. So if you are looking for amazing stock images, you're not ready to invest in a shoot just yet, I encourage you to go check that out, okay? Now, here's what I want you to remember. The pictures on your website should be a clear picture of the quality and the experience and the transformation that people can expect when they work with you. Okay, it does matter greatly. The third thing that you can do to ensure that your website is doing the heavy lifting to build your equestrian business is to use it to build your email list using at least one valuable lead magnet. Okay, what's a lead magnet? It is something that they are going to give their email address in exchange for. So they are a lead, and this item is going to magnetize them into your list. That's why it's called a lead magnet, okay? Now, today is not all about list building. I will talk about that in a future training, but just know that if your website is not helping you to build a list of qualified leads, then it is not fully doing its job. Okay. I want to give you a few examples of some recent Take the Reins coaching clients that have created really valuable lead magnets for their ideal audience so that you can get a picture of what this can look like. All right, number one, I want to share with you about Kara Taylor Swift. She is an amazing equine photographer. And then on top of that, because of the successful business that she has built using in-person sales, she has also been mentoring photographers that are coming up in the equestrian world, specifically in regards to in-person sales. So therefore, the lead magnet that she created to build a list of qualified photographers who are interested in learning from her, her lead magnet is called 5 Surefire Signs Your Equine Photography Business is Ready for In-Person Sales. So you can see how she was very clear on her audience, very clear on the problem that they may be experiencing, which is, I don't know if I'm actually ready for in-person sales. And then inside that lead magnet, she has packed it with value. And so she's building her email list of qualified leads and giving them something extremely valuable. Now, of course, as I share these with you, these lead magnets I'm about to tell you about, I'm going to leave them in the comments of this video on Facebook. And then if you're listening to it somewhere else, you can check the description or always send me a message and I'm happy to share them with you. Okay. These are wonderful free resources that I want to let you know about in case it interests you. And then of course, these are clients that I've had the pleasure of working with to help them really build their marketing strategy through one-on-one coaching. And one of the fruits of that is that they have an amazing lead magnet to help build a qualified email list. Okay, so I'll make sure to link to Kara's free resource in the comments. And then the next one I want to share with you is Susan DeFelice of Susan DeFelice Designs. And she's doing amazing things in the world of illustrations for equestrians. And she has actually 2 audiences that she is working with right now. And so we actually created 2 separate lead magnets so that she could qualify her audience from the get-go and know which bucket do they fall into? All right. So first, she is working with equestrian professionals, expert level, who want to use illustration to educate their audience, whether it is online, through clinics, through online education, through writing books or articles. And she works with them as a collaborative partner to illustrate the concepts that they have in mind. So what should she create? She created the Equestrian Professional's Guide to Leveraging Editorial Illustration to Educate Your Audience. Okay, you can see how it's a very clear audience that she is talking to and what they are going to get. And again, it is packed with value and real life examples so that they can see what's possible with illustration. Now, the second bucket that she is talking to, the second group of people, is she design surface patterns for equestrian brands. And so through that, she has created the Product Pattern Playbook, a free comprehensive guide to choosing the perfect pattern for your equestrian products. Now, again, you can see how that speaks directly to her audience. It gets the right person in the door and it is packed with value. So that's what I want you to hear. A lead magnet is not just some simple little thing that you put together to just get people in the door and then they don't hear from you again and then they really aren't really sure what they got or how much value is in it. The goal here is to give them something that truly is valuable, really does help them, and then yes, gets them on your email list so you can continue to serve and educate them through your emails. Now, I'll also share with you, since we are talking about websites, one of my lead magnets is actually a checklist for your website, and it is called 4 Must-Haves to Make Your Equine Website Dreams a Reality. And so inside of there, again, I'm giving 4 things that you should be looking at on your equestrian website to transform it so that the website dreams really, as we know, are to get it to turn your visitors into your customers. And so that is one way that I am connecting with equestrian entrepreneurs like you all by providing a free resource. Now, again, I want to remind you, the reason we're talking about this is your website's job, right, is to do the heavy lifting in your business. And one of the ways that it should be doing that is by helping you to build an email list of qualified leads that are a fit for your products and your services. All right, so that was number 3. We have 2 more to go. Number 4, I want you to look to make sure that you are giving enough information on your website to help your leads, help your visitors make a decision. Now, again, let's think back to Lindsay that I told you about in the beginning. Her website before we worked together, it was not providing clear or enough information to keep people from contacting her, asking unnecessary questions because they weren't clear on what she was doing. They just saw horses, they saw the location, and they thought, oh, maybe I can go there and trail ride, right? But instead, your website should be giving specific enough information that your visitors are very clear on what they need to know to make a decision. So that could mean pricing. It can mean packages. It can mean timelines. It can mean process. They need to have a clear picture of what it looks like to work with you to be able to know if they're a right fit or not. And let me give you a word of warning. Do not hide all of the important information in an FAQ section. FAQs can be very valuable. I do include those on the websites that I do in specific areas on purpose, but they are not meant to just hold all the information that your potential customers came looking for. Instead, I want you to do the work to really organize your website in such a way that they can follow along easily and understand answers to their questions before they even have that question. You've answered it for them. Okay. So number 4 is to be cognizant of the information you're providing and make sure it is specific enough and thorough enough to help them to make a decision. All right. We have made it to number 5. Number 5 is I want you to make sure that you are being clear instead of cute. Now, this does go back to your copy, but it's more than just using you versus me words in this instance. What I want you to look at is the actual words that you are using. Are you trying to be cute and clever? If you are, can I encourage you to stop? I know that you may be saying, Denise, that's my personality. That's what I do, right? I like to be cute and clever with my words. And I understand that. But let me tell you this, Donald Miller, who is a marketing expert, he has a few best-selling books on marketing. Some of you may have read them. He has great information. And what he says is so true. When you confuse, you lose. So meaning when people land on your website, if they are confused about what you are doing, the products and services you offer, and they aren't even really clear if you are for them or not, then you, my friend, are the one that is losing because you are losing a potential customer. They're going to click away. They're not going to continue to spend their limited time, energy, and resources figuring out if you are a right fit for them. So when you think about the words that you are using, don't use jargon that confuses people. Okay. I want you to think about the words that your audience is using. Okay. Speak literally in the terms that they use. When you are talking with clients and customers, I want you to pay attention to the words that they are using. What is it they are saying? And that's going to give you really great inspiration for the words that you should be using on your website so that you are talking to them in a way that they understand. Do not be so cute and clever that they can't understand what you're talking about. I see this so often. And so that's why I'm ending with this important point, okay? I want people to be able to clearly identify what you do and if they are for them, and then to clearly identify what are the next steps, okay? That's going to be your bonus because I didn't put that on there, but that's your bonus because there should be a clear call to action too. So I want you to be clear on who you're for. I want you to be clear on the way that you are helping them, clear on the problem that you are solving, and clear on their next step and how they can take action to become your customer. And if you can do these 5 things, if you can look at your website and you say, yep, check, 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 I'm good to go, then I bet you your website is doing the heavy lifting to help build your equestrian business. But if not, I want to encourage you to really schedule time to look at your website and evaluate it based on these points, okay? So if you're like, I'm not really sure, then book it 30 minutes to an hour to just go through this list and check out your website and see where it stands. Especially we're in a new year. This is a new opportunity for you to decide, I'm really going to make sure my website is working as an employee in my business, is not just holding space on the internet, but is truly helping me to build a business that I love. Now, I do want you to notice something. In each of those elements that I just shared with you, there is a thread that is woven through each one, each of those 5 things that I just shared. Do you know what it is? It is clarity on your audience, the problem they have, and the promise that you are going to deliver on. Every one of those elements. Because without that clarity, even the most beautiful website is going to fall flat on helping you turn your visitors into your customers. It's so very important within every element of your marketing. And that's why inside of Take the Reins, my one-on-one coaching program, we start there. We start with getting very clear on who you are for. Who are we speaking to? What problems do they really have related to your products and services? How are you truly meeting them where they are? What promise are you going to deliver that's going to help them with their problem? We really hone in on that because that feeds everything else. It feeds the lead magnet, as you just saw. It feeds your social media strategy. It feeds your website strategy. It feeds your email marketing strategy. That element is connected to everything you're going to do in your marketing. It is so very important. Yet, if you're sitting here listening and you're saying, Denise, I hear you, but remember, I'm not a marketer. I'm here to learn. So what do I do with this? Then what I want you to do is look at your website copy from the perspective of your customers, okay? Talk to the customers that you want to duplicate and think about things through the perspective of their lens. What I know is that just like you learned horses, even if you're saying, I've been on them since birth, you've spent the time, right, to actually be an expert in your field, whatever it is you're doing in the equestrian world. So just like you've spent that time to be the expert, you can spend some time. You don't have to become a marketing expert, but you can spend some time building that marketing muscle. Because if you truly do want to grow your equestrian business, you have got to put on your entrepreneur hat. You have to treat it like a business, and you do not have to become the marketing expert, but I would encourage you that you need to build that marketing muscle. Now, in that process, if you're saying, that's why I'm here, Denise, I want to learn from you, then absolutely, please feel free to reach out. As I said earlier, I do website, I do copywriting, I do the design, and then I also do coaching. So whether it is through Take the Reins, my one-on-one coaching program, where I really walk you through a framework of marketing your equestrian business, or if you're saying, can I just get on a call with you and kind of ask you some specific questions, then I have clarity coaching calls available as well. So please know that I am here as a resource to help you, yes, through the podcast, but also through the business services that I provide. I would love to connect with you. But either way, please know that the key here is getting very clear, not being afraid to be very specific about what it is you do, who it is that you serve, and how you help them. That is what's really going to help your website to turn your audience into your customers. All right? Okay, friends, I'm so glad you joined me here today. As I said, the highlights from today's episode are on the show notes. So if you head to stormlily.com/132 for episode 132, you will find the links that I referenced in this episode right there. You will find bullet points of what I've been sharing so that you can check your notes, make sure you didn't miss anything. And of course, if you decide that coaching or websites is something you need right now in your horse business, I've got the links there for you as well. All right. Have an amazing day, and I'll see you back here soon.